Good morning, everyone. So here you can see I uploaded homework 1 and there is 2 data set for this homework. So you have 1 week. So next week, Friday at 11:59 p.m., you can upload your homework solutions. And how to upload the homework solutions? If you go to the tools here, you can see the tools, then click on the assignments. When you click the assignments, you can see that homework 1. And then you need to click on this and you can upload your solutions and follow the instructions that I gave you in the syllabus. So that's all about a homework 1, and which is based on simple linear regression models. Now, do you have any questions? From the last class? Okay, so if you don't have questions, so if you remember in the last class, we were doing at the end class questions, and I told you you should do it by yourself. So here is the solutions that I uploaded for the class question. That we finished some of these and some of these I told you to do it. So please do the class questions and then look at my solutions. So and then you can see that if you make any mistake or not. And your homework is very close to your class questions. Now today we are going to start the new chapter, which is chapter 6, and it's all about multiple linear regressions. So I uploaded the lecture notes for the multiple linear regressions. Here you can see the chapter 6. So let me open here. So the multiple linear regression is just an extension of the simple linear regression models. So what we did in the simple linear regression models, we have only one predictor variable. And we wanted to know whether this predictor variable is related or is useful for explaining our response variable. Now, what happens if we have 2 or more predictor variables and both of them are continuous variables? Because we are considering the continuous predictors. Continuous means we can get any values within a certain range. Now this is little bit complex than the simple linear regression model where we have only one predictor. But the basic idea or the rule is same. You are still conducting a model comparison. You are still looking at the linear relationship between the predictor and the response variable. Now, like a simple linear regression models, you need to plot your data to look for the linear relationship. But here we need to plot our response variable versus the predictor, and then also we need to check whether the predictor or themselves has any relationship or not. So we plot y versus x as well as x versus x because we have multiple x. X means here the predictor variables. So what is the purpose of y versus x? We look for whether there is a linear relationship or not. So we do this plot by using a plot of y versus each of the variable x. Now what is the purpose of doing a plot of each x versus every other x? So to check whether these x variables are themselves has any relationship or not. So how can we do this plot? We can use the scatter plot matrix. Now in simple linear regression, what we did, we just used the scatter plot because we have only 2 variables. Now we have more than 2 predictors, or sorry, 2 predictors or more than 2 might be. So in this case, we need to use the scatter plot matrix to get all these possible plots. That means x versus x, y versus x and everything. And we can do it easily. Now, What is the reason for making this plot? The same as the simple linear regression, the scatter plot of y versus x is helping us to see whether there is any linear relationship between the predictor and the response variable. And also we check whether there are any outliers or high leverage point, or there is a clustering between the two variables. Now we also look for the relationship between x and x. Why? Because we want to see whether the predictors are themselves related or not. Because if they are related, so this can make a problem in estimating the parameters, because we are getting the same informations. And we call it, this problem, we call it the redundancy. Redundancy means we are getting the same informations if we include one variable instead of two variables. So this is the extension of the simple linear regression models. We can add as many predictors as we can. For example, here we have p-1 predictor variables. In general, this is our regression equation. Beta 1 is the regression coefficient for the predictor variable x1. Beta 2 is the regression coefficient for the predictor variable x2, and so on for the predictor variable xp-1. So we have p-1 predictor, and this is another parameter which is intercept. So total parameter in this model is p. So we have p model parameters, and this is the error term, where yi is the response variables. That means the observed value of the y variable at the ith point, or we can say yi is the ith observed value. Now xij is the ith observation on the jth predictor, and beta j, now we are saying that beta j is the partial regression coefficient. So if we say beta j, so we can say it is the jth partial coefficient. So what is the beta j actually? This is the change in the response variables due to the predictor variable xj when all other predictors are in the model, because we have more than one predictors. Okay. Now when we do the multiple linear regression models, we have to consider the two things. One, we call it the redundancy. What is actually the redundancy? Redundancy means, is there any relationship among the predictors? So this is called the redundancy. So why we need to check this? Because in predicting the response variables, we need to make sure whether the predictors are themselves correlated or not. If they are correlated, so they will overlap the variability, so we will not get enough reduction in error, because these two are giving the same information, so we are not getting much reduction in our error. What's the purpose of adding more predictor? Because we know that we want to reduce the error. Now, if the variables are itself correlated, so we cannot get much reduction. So this is a problem, we call it the redundancy problem. Or sometimes we call it the multi-collinearity. But here we are saying the redundancy, the same thing. So this is the key to help interpret our model. Now, next one, the statistical inference. So what we do, when we fit the model, we compare the augmented model with the compact model. How can we compare this? We use PRE, we call it the proportional reduction in error, and also we use F-test. Now this PRE and the F-test tells us whether the overall augmented model is useful or not. Adding more predictor is reducing the error a lot or not. But if we are interested to know if individual predictor is itself useful or not, then we are doing the individual test, and which is here we can do in the multiple regression models. That means individual predictors are whether useful or not, because we have more than one predictor. So in simple linear regression we didn't do this part. We just, because we have one predictor, so we just say that model is useful, that means this predictor is useful. But now we have multiple predictor or more than one predictor, so we need to also check whether the individual predictor is useful or not. If it is not useful, we are not including this predictor in our model. That makes sense? So that's the two things that we have to know. One, we call it the redundancy. We need to check whether the predictors are themselves correlated or not. The second one, we need to check whether model is good. After checking the model is good or not, we need to check whether the individual predictors are useful for predicting the response variable. So this is called the statistical inference. Now, if there is no redundancy, what does it mean? It means that if there is no correlation between the predictors, the parameter estimate can be found just by extending the simple linear regression. But in reality, we don't see that there is no redundancy. There is still some correlation. So we cannot do the extension of the simple linear regression just by adding the parameter estimates. So that's why we need to make sure that you have entered and coded your data correctly. So estimation purpose is same. We are trying to minimize the sound squares of the error. So we call it SSE for this model. And we can do it just by hand. And it's not necessarily to see for an applied course here. So we just do it in the JMP because JMP can do the sound squares of the error for us. So we'll do it here. So let's consider the example that we already have this data in our ELC. So let's consider this data. We call it the cycling data. So if you remember in the previously, we fit the model to check whether calories is related to the distance. So we check this by fitting a simple linear regression model like this, yi equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x1 plus epsilon. For this cycling data of 27 rides in 2012, where y is the calories and x is the distance. Okay, and we also add x to the elevation gain. So I just need to write here right. Okay, now let's open this data. Now we want to add one more predictor. So in our simple model, it was only one predictor, which is the ride. Now we are considering another predictor, which is elevation gain. So we have two predictors. One is the distance, we call it ride. Another one, elevation gain. So this is not simple linear regression model. This is the multiple regression models. Now let's open this data first in JMP. So we are opening. So here you can see our data set. So in this data we have many variables. So our response variable here is calories. Now we have one predictor before, which was distance. Now we are adding one more predictor, which is elevation gain. So let's just fit a simple linear regression model for predicting the calories based on the distance. So this is what we did in the last class. So I am just fitting this model first. So calories versus distance. Okay. And then we check here fit line and we get this up. So this is our simple linear regression model that we did in the last class. But now we are going to fit multiple regression model where we are adding one more predictor, which is the elevation gain. So let's do this one. So how can we fit a multiple regression model in JMP? So we should go to the analyze, and now we should choose fit model. So we choose fit model. Okay. Now our response variable here is calories. So we drag this response variable into the Y column box. Now our predictor one is distance. So we drag this one into the construct model effects. Now we have another predictor, we call it the elevation gain. So we drag this into the construct model effect. So we have two predictors now. We don't need to change any other things. We can just click run. So this gives our multiple regression models. Now, as I mentioned that before fitting the multiple regression model, we need to check whether X and Y is related or not, or X and X is related or not. So how can we do this one? We go to the analyze here and select multivariate methods and then click on the multivariate here. Now we have three variables. One is calories, another one distance, and another one is gain. So this will give me a matrix scatter plot. So here you can see that it gives me the matrix scatter plot. So that means it plot each variables against the predictors as well as the X versus X. So we get all the plots, and this is what we needed at the very beginning. So if we look at this correlation matrix, you can see that the distance and calories are highly correlated, which is positive. So calories are correlated with distance, and which is 0.8738, and calories and the elevation gain is also highly correlated, which is 0.8865. Okay, so they are highly correlated. That means there is a strong positive correlation between the predictor and the response variable. What about the correlation between the two predictors? It's highly correlated. We can see that the distance and elevation gain is highly correlated, which is very close to 1, 0.9844. So high correlation. So that means we have redundancy. Okay, so this is the first thing. We can see that there is some problem, and this problem we call it the redundancy. That means they are highly correlated. And if you look at the scatter plot here, you can see that we get all the scatter plot. So this is the response variable versus the predictor. So this one, this is the scatter plot of this. So this is the scatter plot of the response variable versus another predictor, so elevation gain. Now this one, okay, so what about this? So this one is the another scatter plot of the response variable versus predictor. But what about this one? So this is the scatter plot of the distance versus the elevation gain. So you can see that they are highly correlated and the points are very close to each other. Okay? So now this is the first thing that we need to check at the very beginning. So we get it. We check this one. Now if we go back here, so we see that Correlation indicates that the calories has a strong positive linear association with elevation and the strong positive linear association with distance. So we have seen that they are both highly correlated. So there is a correlation between distance and the calories and distance, elevation gain and the calories. Then we also saw that there is a high positive correlation, that means strong positive linear association between the distance and the elevation gain. That means between the two predictors. And this is the evidence of the redundancy. So the two predictors are more redundant. What does it mean? Yes. Any questions?
For example, if there isn't any relationship between the calories and the elevation.
Yes. So if this is not useful, we are not going to use it. If the predictors is not useful, yeah, we're going to use just simple predictor, single predictor.
Hey, sir, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is this a good example of how you want us to write the results of our homework and our tests of what your outcome is here? Since in the syllabus you talked about it's more than just the math, it's the communication and how you interpret the results?
Yes. So in a homework, it is based on like last chapter, which is the chapter 5. So you need to interpret, like whenever I ask you a question, what is the interpretation of the PRE, you need to know how to interpret this, that you already learned it in the last chapters. Or if I ask you what is the interpretation of the slope, the other part, then you have to interpret it. Also, sometimes you need to write the tabs or the output that you got it from the JMP.
Okay, so like a screenshot. But this paragraph that you did here is a good example of how you say there's a strong positive linear association. This
Yes.
is the type of verbiage you want us to use for explaining our answers.
Yes, you need to also
Okay.
show this. If I ask you, okay, do a scatter plot of this or check whether they are strongly related or not, then you have to do this part.
Okay, thank you, sir.
It depends on the questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So here we can see that there is a problem of redundancy because the two predictors are itself highly correlated. So what does it mean? The two predictors are highly correlated means they are not giving any additional information that if we just include one predictor in the model, the other one is not giving extra information that we already got it from the one predictor. So this is what we mean by the predictors are highly correlated. That means there is a redundancy. So if there is redundancy, that means if we include one predictor, the other one is not giving much information. If the other one is already included in the model. Now, so this is what we get it from the jump output that I just showed you earlier. Now this is the matrix scatter plot, and I told you already that what the matrix scatter plot shows us. So we say that there is a striking linear relationship between distance and elevation gain. So this telling us there is a redundancy in the predictors, and this makes sense because you can't lose elevation the further you write. So that's why to include one more predictors here in this case does not change anything. Now, next thing, we know that since we included one more predictors, so this is what we just saw from the graph, but we need to prove it by comparing the models. So comparing the model means we have to write the two model. One model, we call it the compact model, and the other one we call it the augmented model. So what is our compact model in this case? So could you explain the interpretation of this scatter plot matrix? Yes. So this is the interpretation here. If you look at this scatter plot matrix, so this scatter plot told us or give us the plot of each predictor against the response variable and the plot of each predictor against the another predictor. So if you look at this predictor here, this scatter plot, this is a scatter plot of the response variables and the distance, which is the predictor. And we can see that this scatter plot, most of the points are close to the line, except 1 or 2 points little bit further. And we can see that this, because this is just a eye view, but if you go up, you can see that distance and the what is called the calories, they are highly correlated, and the correlation is 0.873. So from this scatter plot, we can see that there is a strong positive linear correlation because we don't see any curve pattern. So if you don't see any curve pattern, we call it the linear. We can say positive because the trend is positive. It's going upward. And we can say that strong because we can see that most of the points are close to the straight line. Now same as the other one, if we look at the calories and the elevation gain, you can see again there is a positive correlation and the strong positive because if we fit a line, most of the points will be around this line. So we have less error. So strong positive correlation, and this is linear because there is no curve pattern. Similarly, if we look at the correlation between, scatter plot of distance versus the elevation gain, that means the scatter plot of two predictors, x versus another x, we can say. Here you can see more strong because they are very close to the straight line, and this is also positive. That's what the interpretation of the scatter plot matrix. Do you get it? Okay, now, so we fit the models, we check the scatter plot by using the correlation matrix. Now the next step is to compare the two models. So what is our augmented model in this case and what is our compact model? Tell me. Is the compact model is just the mean model? No. Because in the compact model we have one predictor, which is the distance that we already included in the, yes. Anna says here the compact is distance and the calories, and augmented is calories, distance and the elevation gain. Thank you, Anna, for your answer. So this is our compact and the augmented model. So here you can see that yi equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 xi plus epsilon, where yi is our calories and xi, we can say xi is our distance. Now augmented model means we have more predictors here, that means more parameters. So in this case we have two parameters for the two variables and additional parameter is for the intercept. So we have three parameters in the augmented model, which is beta 0 plus beta 1 xi1 plus beta 2 xi2 plus epsilon I. Now first fit the compact model. So we already, if you look at this, we already fit the compact model, and from this compact model, this is our R square. What is R square actually? In the compact model, this R square is our value that we got it from this compact model here. Okay, so this is the summary fit for the compact model. This is R square, this is the root mean square error, this is the mean response, and this is the sum of squares error for the compact model. So this is called SSE of the compact model. Okay. Now, when we fit the augmented model that I just showed you earlier, so in this augmented model you can see, so this from the ANOVA table we can see this is our sum of square of the errors for the augmented model. Now we get this one also here. So we get our sum squares of the error for the compact model, sum squares for the error for the augmented model. Now the most important thing when we are doing the regression model comparison, that don't compare against the simple model. What is simple model? The model with just the intercept. But here our compact model is not just the intercept. We are comparing the simple linear regression with the multiple one. So here our compact model is not this one. Now, if our simple compact model is not the simple model, then we cannot get the PRE directly from the jump. So, jump output, or we call it the JMP output, we cannot get this on. So, we need to calculate our PRE. What is PRE? We know that PRE is the sum of squares of the error for the compact model minus sum of square for the error for the augmented model divided by the sum of square of the error for the compact model. Now we already know what is this one. This value is given here 740,758.4, and sum of square for the augmented model is given 671022.3. So we plug in all these values here and we get our PRE is 0.094. So when we add the two predictors, we can see that we only reduce 9% of the error. It's not much reduction. And we already know that these two predictors are highly correlated. So you can see that after adding elevation gain in your model, we are not much reducing the error. The error reduction is only 9%, which is not too much. So this PRE is telling us that model that contain both distance and the elevation gain only explain an addition of 9% of the variability in calories over the model that only contain the distance. Now, the model that only contain the distance and the model that contain both distance and the elevation gain only add 9% of the variability. That means the reduction of error is only 9%, which is not much. Now question is that, is this reduction significant? How many parameters we added? Only one parameter. So our PA, the number of parameters in the augmented model is, in this case, what is our PA? In the augmented model, we have number of parameters is 3. In the compact model, how many parameters do we have? 2. So PA minus PC is 1. So we only add one parameter. And then we can use the table A1, which is at the end of your book. We can see that appendix, we can see the table A1. And N minus PA, number of additional parameters that we can add, so which is called N minus PA. So N is the total number of observations. In our case, 27 minus PA, number of parameters in the augmented model, which is 3. So 27 minus 3, so we get 24. And our PRE for this case is 0.094, and it has p-value between these two. Now, if p-value is between these two, so this p-value is not small. So our result is not significant. Is that clear? So we should not include both distance and elevation in our model. The model just containing the distance is better. So we are not going to reject our compact model. Any questions? Okay, so if you don't have, now the question is that what about if we just add elevation in our model without the distance? So let's do this one. We are fitting a simple linear regression model with only elevation, not the distance. So we can use fit y by x. So our response variable is calories, so we put calories in the Y response box, and our predictor, only predictor is elevation gain. So we put this into the X factor box and then click OK. And then we fit a simple linear regression model. So what is our PRE? In this case, you can see that PRE is very high, 79%. And if you look at the F ratio, because we need to check both criterion. So F ratio is high, 91.7127, and P value is very small, which is smaller than any significance level. So we're going to reject the null hypothesis. That means we can say that elevation is an useful predictor for predicting the calories. So here I just say that if we just use elevation, we can say that elevation gain is useful because the p-value is very small in F. Also, the PRE is 79%, and this is what I showed you in JMP. Now, and if you look at the F ratio, you can see F ratio is this one, and p-value is this one. Now, the conclusion here is that individually, elevation and distance are both useful predictors. But adding one to a model when other is already in the model is not useful. So this is our conclusions. We have seen that if we just include distance or if we just include elevation gain in our model, both of them are useful. But if we include both together in the model, that means adding one when the other is already in the model is not giving any extra information for our model. So that means the model is not useful. So there is no significant improvement. So the reason for this, that there is a redundancy among the predictors. So there is a redundancy between these two values or these two predictors. Any questions? So this is the problem of redundancy, and how can we know from the JMP output or JMP output there is a redundancy? Also, if you look at this. So for the multiple regression model, if you look at the F ratio, what does this F ratio tells us? The overall model is useful. Okay? What about the individual parameter estimates here? So individual parameter estimates, it shows that the distance, the p-value is very high. What about the elevation gain? The p-value is very high. So it shows that none of them are useful, though this is a contradictory result, and this is called the redundancy. That means if F test shows that the model is useful, the overall model, but individual test here, the parameter estimate shows us none of the predictor is useful. This is a contradiction, and this contradictory tells us that there is a redundancy in our model among the predictors. Okay. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Why is the analysis of variance, the p-value is very low, but the parameter estimates, they're all high? What's the difference between the analysis of variance and the parameter? Is that just...
Yeah, thank you for asking this question. This is what we did in the analysis of variance. We just want to know whether the overall model is useful or not. And we can see that it's telling us the overall model is useful. But when we look at the individual parameter estimates, we look at whether each individual predictor is useful for predicting the response variables. So here it says that at least one of the predictor is useful. Overall model is useful means at least one of the predictor is useful, but the individual parameter estimate shows us none of them are useful. So this makes a contradiction. And this contradiction, we call it the redundancy.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Thank you. I do have another question about when would we use the fit model in analyzing a multiple linear regression, and when do we use the multivariate?
Okay, so your question was that when we use the fit models and when we use the multivariate one. I mean this one you are talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this one we just use it to get the correlation matrix or the scatter plot matrix, nothing else.
Understood.
And when we use the fit model, this is for fitting the multiple regression models. But fit y by x can only be used for the simple linear regression model. But you can use fit model for both simple linear regression and for the multiple regression model. Okay. What's the next question? What do you conclude if there is a redundancy? So if there is a redundancy, that means there can be always some redundancy, that means small redundancy. We don't care about. But if we see that there is a high correlation, that means we have seen that this model is not useful. That means we cannot include more predictors, those who are not reducing the error a lot. So we just reject our augmented model and make a conclusion that we cannot reject the compact model. So this is what our conclusion will be. So for example, here you can see that when we see that there is a redundancy, so what we concluded here, so elevation or distance are useful predictors, but adding one to a model when the other is already existing does not reduce error significantly. So we can say that they are not good model. So we cannot reject our null hypothesis. That means we cannot reject the compact model. Is it clear enough? Any other questions? Okay, now let's go to the next part. So we learned that if we have redundancy, what is the problem? Now, interpreting the multiple regression coefficients. Now, simple linear regression model, we said that the regression coefficient, we call it the slope because we have only one predictor. Now, in multiple regression model, we have more than one predictor. So each predictor coefficient, we call it the partial regression coefficient. This is what I said at the very beginning. If you go up, so each beta j is called one of the partial coefficient. For example, the beta j is the jth partial regression coefficient. Now the question is that how can we interpret this regression coefficient? In simple linear regression coefficient, we just interpret it as a slope, and we say that the predicted increase or decrease in x, so we call it for an unit increase in x. So predicted value of y or the mean value of y for an unit increase in x. What about in the multiple regression models? We have more than one predictor in our model. So we have to keep other predictor fixed. When we are talking about the relationship between only one predictor and the response variables, we need to keep the other predictor fixed. Very simple examples I can give you. For examples, let's say we want to predict the price of a house based on the number of bedrooms and living area. So we are considering two predictors. One, the price of house, which is our response variable, and two predictor is number of bedrooms and living area. Now, if we want to compare or if we want to interpret the regression coefficient for the bedroom, we need to keep the same living area for the different houses. We cannot compare the 3-bedroom houses with 3,000 square feet and another 3-bedroom houses with 2,000 square feet, because they cannot be compared. We need to keep the same living area and then change the number of bedrooms, and if we see that there is a change in the response variables, that makes sense. So this is what we mean by fixing or by controlling the effects of the other variables. So here we say that the coefficients are the change in the predicted or mean response for a change in one predictor when the other variables are constant. That means by fixing the effects of the other variables. So we need to compare apple versus apple, orange versus orange, but we cannot compare apple and the orange. Now we cannot compare the price of the 3,000 square feet house with the price of the 2,000 square feet house with the same number of bedrooms or the different number. So we need to keep the other variable constant. So we say that we need to keep living area same, and then we need to change the number of bedrooms, and then if we see that changing the number of bedroom has an effect on the response variable, then we can interpret this out. So this is what we mean by controlling the effects of the other variables, or keep fixing the other variables same. That makes sense? So that's very important in our interpretation of the multiple regression parameters. So that means we just interested for the unique contribution of this particular predictor to the response variables. So if there is a lot of redundancy among the predictors that we have seen in elevation and distance in the cycling data, there is not much unique contributions. So the parameter will be very close to 0 for the overall model. So if we see that redundancy, that means one variable is not contributing lot when the other variables is already in the model. So that's the point that we need to check the unique contribution, or we call it the partial contribution of this particular predictor to the response variable when the other predictors are fixed. Now, we have seen earlier that we compare the compact model, which is the simple linear regression model, with the model with more than one predictors. Now what happens if we are just doing the test for the overall model like this? So our compact model here is the mean model. That means we are not including any predictor in our model. This is just, we call it the simple model. And the augmented model, we are including the predictors. Now we'd like to know whether these predictors are useful or not. That means the model is useful or not. So we say that our null hypothesis is that all the predictors are useless. So we say that beta 1 equal to beta 2 equal to beta p minus 1. So all the p minus 1 predictors are useless. So that means they are all equal to 0. Our alternative hypothesis is that at least one of the predictor is useful. So beta j is not equal to 0. Okay. Now, if we reject our null hypothesis, for example, if we reject our null hypothesis based on the F-test, so we can say model A is useful because we are rejecting the null hypothesis. But in our model A, there could be still some variables or some predictors that are not useful. Overall, the model is useful because there are many predictors, but there could be some variables that are not useful. So we can check this on by using the individual t-test. So how can we know that even though the overall model is useful, but individual, not all the variables are useful? So we can check it by using the individual parameter estimates. So let's fit a model here using these three parameters. So we don't have actually the time. Let me stop here and we can continue in the next class. If we fit this on We'll not get enough time to fit it. So thank you for your time. Any questions before I leave the Zoom meeting?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
So on the homework, question 4 under the cell phone service, it's asking to conduct a t-test for a slope. Is that found within the
Homework 4, yes. The t-test for this slope, that's the individual one.
Okay, so the t-test is found, isn't it already pulled up like it's underneath the analysis of variance?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, understood. And one more question. For the multiple choice, it seems like B and C are very similar.
For this one, for
Yes,
the
sir.
fourth part,
Yes, sir. So there's a cause and effect relationship, and there's a strong
yes. But there is some changes here, so you need to identify the correct one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, let me check. What is the other question? Okay, not questions. Okay, wish you happy weekend and see you on Monday.